This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with my weekly review of the points that I find interesting in Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter. But before I get into this, I just want to let everyone know that Sunday morning around 9:30 a.m., I will be conducting a live interview with Ken Patira, the WWE legend, former Olympian. People have been asking for this one for a long time, including Billy Graham, who is friends with Ken Patira and actually gave me some questions to ask him. So I'm looking forward to that. It was supposed to happen a bunch of years ago in Iowa, but it fell through. Now it's going to happen. I had great reviews for my RVD interview yesterday. Highly suggest you people check it out. My first 420 interview. I think he had about 5 joints in that. I only had 2. I didn't come prepared. And he also did 40 minutes overtime. So I already liked Rob Van Dam. But he's a great guy. I like him even more after doing that. And Dave Kruger watched that today, and he found it very entertaining. Pulsar Lights talks about Ken Patira being the first American to bench press 500 pounds over his head. And Sam Alentz is looking forward to the Ken Patira one. I recently watched a match of Ken Patira's from I think it was 2011 or 2013, where he wrestled Bob Backlund on a Juggalo Championship Wrestling event. And that was something to see, for sure. So let me get into the news. Raw Underground, which you all know I was not a fan of. When I originally thought they were bringing back the Brawl for All, I was excited about it. And when they made it seem like they were going to bring back the Brawl for All, and it was going to be a real fighting concept on a wrestling show, people were excited about it, but it ended up being they're on a wrestling ring without ropes. It still has the bounce to it. They're doing 30 cuts in a minute or 2-minute matches. So it's like, when you do that many cuts, what are you hiding? And it didn't even look realistic. It was a poor man's blood sport, to say the least. And speaking of blood sport, the Hannibal TV heavyweight champion, Davey Boy Smith Jr., who actually won the title last October 19th. He's almost held it for a year. I wish there could have been more events for Great North Wrestling for him to defend it on, but he's almost held that title for a year. He did compete in Indiana over the weekend for blood sport, where he told me he knocked out Josh Alexander for real, and the match actually went home early due to that. And according to the Wrestling Observer, WWE was following him with cameras all weekend in Indianapolis last weekend. So we know Davey Boy Smith Jr. has basically been held hostage by MLW, according to reports. The last time he wrestled for them was in March. From what I understand, according to the sources I have, for his MLW contract, he only gets paid if he wrestles. So he hasn't received any pay from MLW since March, but they won't let him out of his contract to go elsewhere. So I think you could probably expect Davey Boy Smith Jr. If I was a betting man, I would say he would go to WWE, where he could be either an NXT UK star, a producer, a regular wrestling star. I think he could do something special in NXT UK, though, whereas he might just fall into the mix of all the guys they already have on the main roster, even though he's the best technical wrestler out there today. We'll find out, I guess, by January what's going to happen with Davey Boy Smith Jr. Bill Goldberg did an Instagram post hinting that he might be interested in having a match with Roman Reigns, which they were supposed to have at WrestleMania 36, but Reigns pulled out. John Cena, 43, as I've already reported, married his girlfriend Shay on October the 12th in Tampa, Florida. She is from Vancouver, where he met her while filming a movie. It's his second marriage. He was also married from 2009 to 2012. John Cena is also the voice in the new Honda commercial. So he's moving above wrestling. I'm sure we're still going to see him wrestle here and there. I wouldn't call his WrestleMania 36 performance a wrestling match. That was just one of the worst things I've ever seen in wrestling, what they did there with the vaporizing people and the different sequences where they just are in different scenes. Magic is happening. Impossible to suspend your disbelief. I absolutely hated that, but that's not Cena's fault. I think Bruce Pritchard was the one that took credit for booking that abortion. Eva Marie, 36, is returning to WWE. I believe she was hired around 2013. She left in 2017 to pursue an acting career, which obviously didn't go very well. She hasn't been in too much. Now she's going back to wrestling. I don't recall her ever being a very good wrestler or a very thoroughly trained wrestler, but she's somewhat of a name because she was part of Total Divas when people were still watching it. More news related to Alberto Del Rio and his legal problems. We already reported he was indicted on 4 counts of sexual assault, 1 count of kidnapping stemming from a May incident involving his former girlfriend. Alberto, who is now 43, magic number today, will go to trial January 25th. He was also once the figurehead president of Combate Americas, which he is no longer anymore. He did have that quick fight where he lost to Tito Ortiz for Combates recently. Apparently, if he's convicted by Texas law for aggravated kidnapping, his sentence could range from 5 to 99 years. He could also go to jail regarding the second-degree aggravated kidnapping from anywhere from 2 to 20 years, and the sexual assault could also be 2 to 20 years. So he is looking at some serious prison time. Could he still wrestle in Mexico between now and January 25th? Probably. Finn Balor, little guy, another one of these mini wrestlers, had jaw surgery on October the 12th. He broke his jaw in 2 places during a match with Kyle O'Reilly. Natalia, who I trained with in the dungeon, got a tooth knocked out at the hands of Lacey Evans on this week's Raw show. So, as I already reported that, she should get a gold tooth. That's my suggestion. That's what I did with my missing tooth. Regarding the lawsuit of Samantha Tavel against Matt Riddle, WWE, the now defunct Evolve, and Gabe Sapolsky, who is an NXT producer, there's a piece of evidence that she's put out, which is a message from Drake Warts, the referee who handles booking extras for WWE NXT. The guy sent her an email canceling 2 of her bookings with WWE. The letter said, "Samantha, I regret to inform you that we will have to cancel your bookings for Wednesday, February 5th, as well as March 4th. Apparently, there was some past issues I wasn't aware of with you and one of our talents, that will not make for an ideal work environment. Good luck for you in your career. Basically, what we learned there is if someone within the company doesn't want you there and he or she already has a job, they can pull strings to make sure you don't get any tryouts or extra jobs. I'm sure that happens with a lot of people. As I previously mentioned, I had a 2016 NXT tryout that Gerald Briscoe had set up for me based on another tryout that I had passed by him. And I had already previously been signed in 2009. But I had a medical issue at that time that Abdullah the Butcher passed me hepatitis C. Took me years to get cured. I did get cured. They got my medical papers. They gave me another opportunity about a week before the tryout. I got a message saying, due to some other information that's come up, you're no longer invited to the tryout. So goes to show you, if certain people don't want you in the company, they can have your extra jobs or tryouts removed. But in the end, that's definitely their loss. AEW had another anniversary show with 4 title matches this past week, and they had a 0.3 rating, which was down from the previous week. Doesn't surprise me that less people watched after that horrible match between Jericho and Luther the previous week for Jericho's big 30th anniversary in wrestling show that saw a very out of shape Dr. Luther moving at a tortoise pace and still blowing a bunch of spots. And what Rob Van Dam said yesterday, one of the problems with wrestling today, before someone even jumps outside the ring, it seems like there's 5 to 10 guys like a minute or two before just standing there waiting to catch them. It looks so fake, and there were a bunch of spots like that in that Jericho Dr. Luther horrible match. Horrible match. He likes to call himself the original Death Dealer. Well, refer to yourself as that to my face, fatso, and see what happens. You would get like completely smoked by me, as the Iron Sheik would do. He would probably humble you, but I don't go in that direction. I would just severely mess you up, severely fuck you up. NXT, again, they lost every week. It's not even news. They did a 0.17. Just getting their butt kicked week after week by AEW. Apparently, they don't have any pride in NXT, and Vince McMahon doesn't care. It's his son-in-law running it, so he can lose every week, and there won't be any consequences. There won't be any changing and people running that operation. Raw did a 0.57 rating on Monday for their big draft show. The draft on Monday did 18.6% less viewers than the previous year's draft. So we're seeing a continuous decline in viewership year after year. SmackDown did a 0.65 rating last Friday for that draft show, and the big return of the I guess homophobic, racist, gay porn star Lars Sullivan that WWE seems to have a big heart on for, no pun intended. In AEW news, in what Dave Meltzer calls could be a possible spoiler, Matt Jackson, one of the AEW executives, did an interview with ScreenCrush.com and said he thinks this next year in AEW is going to be all about Kenny Omega, another AEW executive. They love to push the executives in that company. Cody Rhodes holds a title as well. I don't like Cody Rhodes, by the way, for anyone that doesn't know that. Or his brother, Dustin. Anyways, Matt Jackson says that the next year is going to be about Kenny Omega. He thinks that Omega is ready to explode. I mean, he has a lot of appeal, again, to the gay fans because supposedly he is bisexual. I've never found him entertaining, but I'm not a fan of the flippity-floppy gymnast-style wrestlers. Dan Rill tipped me £4 as a super sticker. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Pulsar Lights. I'm not done the news yet. Who would I rather beat up between CM Punk and Cody Rhodes? CM Punk. CM Punk I would rather beat up than Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, I just think he's extremely overrated and has a huge ego. The Dark Side of the Ring new season is already being discussed. Supposedly there's going to be shows about Brian Pillman, Dynamite Kid, Jake the Snake and Sam Houston's father, Grizzly Smith, and the WCW Korea tour. Tracy Smothers, a good buddy of mine who did a 4-hour shoot interview with me on this channel that you could look up. It's up here free. He's back in the hospital battling cancer. He has a tumor. God bless him. I really like him. And he's always been a big supporter of mine. Really appreciate his support. Len Rossi, who was one of the most popular wrestlers in Tennessee in the 1960s, passed away October 9th at the age of 91. Incredibly old for a wrestler. Blue Demon Jr., who I've done an interview with on this channel, is filming a new TV show for Disney. I already reported on this, but Fightful has stated that Joey Ryan filed a $10 million lawsuit against Impact Wrestling for breach of contract. He signed a 2-year contract on September 1st, 2019. On June 22nd, Scott D'Amore fired him due to the 17 or so alleged speaking out allegations. So, from what I understand, Brock Lesnar makes about $10 million a year in WWE. He's probably one of, if not the highest paid wrestlers, unless The Rock wants to come back and make a huge amount of money. So, Joey Ryan had about a year and a half left on his Impact contract, and he's alleging that Impact owes him $10 million for that year and a half. I would be surprised if Impact has more than a handful of wrestlers that make over $100,000 a year. I'd be surprised. Very surprised, because from the people that I know in Impact, the money is not good. The money is definitely not great. So how he can say they owe him $10 million for firing him with a year and a half left on his contract, I don't know. But serves Impact right for hiring that slime ball. He's a cancer to the wrestling business. He turns way more people off than have turned on, and he's helped turn wrestling into softcore porn. The kissing stuff where he's had Colt Cabana kiss his dick, the dick grabbing, the pussy grabbing, the boob stuff. He's bad for wrestling. Thal Sinistro tipped me $5, says, thanks for the interviews, live streams, and answering questions here or there. Well, I appreciate that very much. It's actually my birthday today, so thank you for the $5 tip. I will use that to buy myself some protein. I'm going out for a run after this, drinking up my coffee. Universal Talent Bookings. I don't like this guy. Get off my channel. This guy is not trustworthy, in my opinion. Finally, in UFC news, Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor have agreed to fight each other. ESPN has offered them the fight on January 23rd, but nothing has been set in stone yet. Barra 73331 tips me $5 and says happy birthday. It's also Kenny Omega and Missy Hyatt's and Justin Credible's birthday today, which, by the way, there is an interview, and Petey Williams too, who Petey Williams did make an appearance for Great North Wrestling not too long ago. And yeah, for that Universal Talent Bookings guy, he is a very slimy individual. From what I understand, he is very dishonest with the talent that he books. So highly recommend nobody deal with this guy. Sam Lent says Dave Kruger is brilliant. I missed that one. Alan Kesselman says Gerald Briscoe is a legend. I agree on that. And Wes Briscoe was actually the first ever The Hannibal TV champion, his son. Definitely make sure you give our videos thumbs up. Help support us. Pliss Strong says he didn't watch SmackDown tonight. Join the club. Bill, my good buddy Bill, tipped me $20. Thank you. All of your tips go towards future interviews, like the Ken Patira interview I'm doing this Sunday. Carlos wishes me happy birthday. I appreciate that, Carlos. And I appreciate your support in a lot of these shoot interviews that you've tipped us in recently. I really appreciate it. I'll get back to the question. Oh, by the way, I heard from Billy Jack Haynes today. He called to wish me happy birthday. So he's alive and he is in Oregon. He does not have a phone, though. He called from his friend's phone. Kevin Wynn, do they have anyone that still recruits shoot wrestlers, or are they only hiring ex-stripper gay porn stars now? I don't know. The Snake Solid tipped me $5 for my birthday. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Alan says that the RVD was a great shoot interview. Dan agrees. Little Weep says Lars must be giving Patterson something to keep his job. I don't know what they see in Lars. Really, I don't. Good for him that he gets all these chances. Kevin Wynn says that guys get injured catching wrestlers. I don't think there's much really risk to catching wrestlers, to be honest with you. It's more risky if they don't catch you. Dennis loved my Tony Atlas interview. There's a bunch of them on here. We are on Twitter at Devon Hannibal and at That Hannibal TV. If you message us on there, we will message you back. General Alabama Police Audit and Accountability says the ratings are so bad. Big Beefs 35s cannot wait for the Ken Patira interview. Alan Kesselman says NXT is lousy. He's not surprised. They can't get ratings. Me either. Sleepaway Mortuary. What happened to Jesse Neal catching Zema Ion? I have no idea who either of those are. I haven't watched wrestling for so long, and unless they're regular people in the news, I don't know. Ralph Vaquero does not like WWE. PW909 says the problem with today's wrestling is the dumb moves like the Canadian Destroyer. I agree. Those are like phony moves. Bill tips me another $25 and says happy birthday. I really appreciate that, Bill. You're a nice guy. Dan Rill tips me £5 and says he watched the Earthquake John Tenta videos recently and forgot how good he was. Any chance on a video of him? Well, as you probably know, he's been dead for a long time. He was a great amateur wrestler, from what I understand. I never met him. Andy Blake says AEW, he's not a fan of. Carlos says they must have had too much hopes on Lars Sullivan. Bring on the next guy. Kevin Wynn, what planet is Billy Jackman hiding on? He's back in Oregon. He is back in Oregon. And let's leave it at that. I was happy to get a message from him. And he's alive and well, and hopefully we'll get another interview with him in the future. So Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m., if you're up, be here for that live interview. Johnny Friction tips me $5, says, happy birthday. My Patreon is a bargain. Patreon.com/Hannibal TV. It's $1.99 a month. All of our interviews are ad-free on there. Robert Brown, have I interviewed Rhino? No. He did no show on me once back in 2006 on a show that I was doing in Alberta. He was supposed to wrestle Lance Storm on that show. And although Rhino did send me his deposit back, I lost the flight from Detroit to Alberta, which was an expensive flight. And not only that, but Rhino was supposed to wrestle Lance Storm on that show. And Lance did not want to wrestle anybody else. So he took half of his pay. Nice. I'm not holding that against him because he was there. He showed up, he appeared, but he wouldn't wrestle a replacement. So he just got in the ring, gave a speech about Rhino not showing up. And that was it. So I do hold a bit of a grudge against Rhino for that, because I did lose a flight. And then it makes you look bad to the fans because, yes, Lance was there, but he wouldn't wrestle. So people paid to see Lance and Rhino. So you fuck the promoter over and you hurt my business in the future. Why agree to events if you don't show up? Alan Kesselman tips me $5, says happy birthday. How about a Mark Lewin interview? He lives in Singapore. That's the issue with Mark Lewin, but maybe eventually Kevin Sullivan will hook me up. Hershey Squirts. There is an interview with Tommy Dreamer on here. He wasn't a great interview, so I don't know if I would do a further one with him. I don't know. But I appreciate all of your tips. Thank you for the birthday wishes, everyone. Really appreciate it. And have a good night. Have a great weekend. It's cold here in Canada. Next weekend here in Canada is the Great North Wrestling's Forest of Fear tapings featuring the Blood Hunter in action. So look forward to that. That is coming up before the end of the month, being recorded next weekend right here on the Hannibal TV. Subscribe to the channel.